Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Don Miguccioni back with more quick and accessible health and fitness tips. I'm doing another follow up on one of my interviews today. So it's going to be the thinking back to the first interview with my dad, Bob. And an idea that I got from that is sort of a point he made about the misconceptions of what the keto diet is and what it is not. So that gave me an idea to really get into the topic of diets. You can say fad diets in some cases, but we'll define a diet as sort of an established plan of how someone eats with certain guidelines. And then what are some common pitfalls that people might fall into when they get into one of these diet plans? So, examples of diets. So, someone could be a vegan, which in rough terms means that they don't consume any animal products. And then vegetarian is similar to vegan, except vegetarian entails no meat. So vegetarians could eat milk products or eggs, for example, whereas vegans would not. Keto, you heard from Bob, which is essentially a very high fat diet. It is selective about the types of fats, so you wouldn't see any of those processed oils like we were talking about on a previous post. And Bob had mentioned one of the staples of keto diet is as many vegetables as you can manage. There are certain vegetables that they prioritize over others because they're trying to keep carbohydrates very low in that diet. Paleo is another diet. There have been Atkins in the past, still is Atkins, South Beach, Mediterranean, but you get the idea. There are diet plans that have books and certain guidelines that people follow, and the people that created these plans believe that this is the way that you eat to be healthy. This is the way that you eat to honor animals and not promote cruelty to animals in case of vegan, vegetarian. There's a lot of reasons why people would sign on to a specific diet plan. And therein lies some of the challenges for people when they think about why to get on a certain diet plan. And the danger that I've seen is that people sometimes hear what they want to hear and don't really read the entire plan and don't have a balanced diet as a result of that. So I'm going to give a few examples just to help you think creatively about if you are going to get into one of these plans, to make sure that you're informed before starting off on something like that. So for vegan or vegetarian, a lot of people might get into that style of eating for health reasons, because they feel like perhaps meat and meat products are not healthy for them, or they may be into minimizing cruelty to animals and not being participatory in that by consuming those products. So one of the challenges with getting into a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle with that in mind and without really doing a lot of research in what you need to have a balanced diet as a vegan or vegetarian is that you can pick out a lot of foods that are processed and probably not so great for you, which are still compliant with vegan or vegetarian. For example, a lot of those processed snacks that I showed that have processed sugar, processed grain, processed oils do not contain any animal products. So as a vegan or vegetarian, you could read that and say, ooh, no animal products, that's good to go. So unfortunately, you can include a lot of highly processed foods and be compliant with vegan or vegetarian diet. Another thing to keep in mind with vegan or vegetarian diet, again, it takes a lot of pre-planning to make sure that you're getting a complete balanced diet with the proper nutrients if you're not consuming meat or meat products. There are some nutrients that you get from meat and meat products that you need to be a little bit more intentional when building a plant-based diet. It can be done, but it's not as simple as just cutting out the meat and that makes you completely healthy and completely balanced. The example Bob and I talked about with keto is a lot of people feel like carbs are the enemy, and that's the point of keto or Atkins back in the day, is if you just remove all carbs, you're going to be completely healthy. So the old adage, like, I'll just have bacon cheeseburgers with no bun, steak and eggs, and I'll eliminate the carbs and I'll be completely healthy. And one of the challenges with something like keto or any low carb diet is if you do that for a period of time, you'll probably see some results. You'll probably lose some weight, probably feel a little bit better in the short term. But for the long term, that type of eating is not a sustainable approach because similar to it's like the opposite end of vegan vegetarian. If you're cutting out an entire nutrient group, you're probably going to be deficient. So in particular, if you're taking on something like keto or Atkins or low carb because you don't like vegetables, that's going to be a problem and probably result in some nutrient deficiencies. So those are just a few examples. There are great ways to be balanced when doing low carbohydrate, ketogenic, paleo. Another example, if we're talking about being compliant with certain plans and some of the pitfalls, if you're looking at something like paleo, for example, that is a little bit more specific about highly processed foods, which can be helpful as a guideline. Doesn't limit meat or meat products, but really focuses on how those products are sourced. Challenge there is if you've got a sweet tooth, you can find some products that are labeled as paleo compliant. You can get things like honey or natural sweetening sources, and you can jack up your sugar intake and still be compliant with paleo. So the theme here that I'm talking about is hearing what you want to hear. So there is really no way that you can have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. If you're looking to have a healthy, balanced diet, there are going to be certain food groups that need to be limited and moderated. So there's really not a way to eat whatever you want, be perfectly healthy, have the great results. There does need to be some planning. There does need to be some substitutions. And there's not, unfortunately, a magical diet plan that you can get on and follow loosely within the guidelines and have great results and have a balanced diet. So advice on that topic is if you are going to get into a particular diet plan, really read up on it. So if there's a book, read the book, do additional research on the recommendations that they have in there on your own. So, okay, if I'm going to eat this ketogenic diet, what are some other resources I can find about how to make sure I'm getting a balanced diet with proper nutrients? Vegan, vegetarian, there's a lot of material out there that you can find. Just don't get the idea in your head, eliminate meat and I'm completely healthy. Do the research, make sure that you're planning out how you would meet all of your nutritional requirements while being vegan and vegetarian. So I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.